Hey guys, welcome to the Pistons Talk Podcast. You already know me, Anthony, man behind Pistons Talk. You know my co-host, Lance Caparosi. You can give him a follow on Twitter. I could care less if you follow me on Twitter. I really don't care. If you want to, great. If not, I'm not going to hurt my feelings. Before we get into the podcast, because the first topic is absolutely depressing.
Yep.
I want to get your take on this. Is an in-season championship, would you count it as a championship ring?
I kind of look more of it as when we played high school basketball and you do those holiday tournaments. It's kind of just like a cool accolade, something you could add to the resume. I wouldn't consider it a championship. I do think it's pretty cool that it's single game elimination. And I don't know if you watched any of that game. I only watched the fourth quarter because we were watching a documentary last night. And I thought the fourth quarter was pretty great. I thought it was pretty fun. It seemed like a playoff atmosphere type game. One thing I would change about it, though, I think it would be pretty cool if the NBA decided to push it back a little bit and the championship game was played on Christmas. Like have a couple rivalry games, but then have the end of the Christmas day be the in-season tournament championship. I don't consider it a ring like how it's the end of the season, just because I don't feel like the Indiana Pacers are one of the best teams in the league. I felt like they've been playing really well this year. I think they're on pace to be the greatest offensive team in the history of the NBA or something like that. I think in terms of offensive rating and efficiency, I don't see them making the NBA finals, but that's what's cool about the in-season tournament. A team like Indiana can get hot and just win as many games as they can to get there. And they beat some pretty impressive teams. I believe they beat the Milwaukee Bucks, who, they're still some people's favorites to go far in the playoffs. So yeah, no, to answer your question, I don't think of it as a regulars at the playoff championship, but I just think it's a really cool award. And I think as it continues to progress and we see it year after year after year, it will hold more meaning. But also I think what I guess makes it less of a championship was that it was the Lakers. Like I tweeted out, they were asked, who do you think is going to win? And I said the Lakers. There's no way the NBA passes up on a chance for LeBron to be the first to win it. And it happened. So I think that also hurts it a little bit, that you kind of already knew who was going to win it. You knew it was going to be the Lakers going into that game. So yeah, I just think as we continue to see it year after year, it will hold more meaning. But right now it's a cool, fun thing. And it was a lot better than I expected. I'll say that. It was a lot better than I expected it to be. Because I think we had talked about it a little bit on the podcast, where are the players going to take it seriously? And like I said, it was a playoff atmosphere game. So, yeah, I mean, again, I don't think of it as an NBA championship, but I just think it's a really cool, another award, and to keep fans invested in a long 82-game season. I think it's pretty cool.
Okay, that was 3 minutes of you telling me, oh, yeah, I don't think it's a championship.
Yeah.
My thing is, I see LeBron fans saying LeBron's got his 5th title.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Happy for LeBron to win the in-season tournament. Happy for the Los Angeles Lakers that they won it. Anthony Davis was phenomenal out there. I enjoyed the in-season tournament. I enjoyed seeing Tyrese Halliburton just cook out there, because my mentions on Twitter have been crazy. Like old videos of me clipping Tyrese Halliburton says I wanted to go to the Pistons. But I did want to ask you that before we do get into some depressing topics.
Let me ask you one thing. What do you think means more to LeBron? Winning the in-season tournament or watching his son Bronny play his first college game?
Oh, Bronny, 100%. He said he would skip the in-season tournament game if Bronny played on that day. Like 100%. He's all about his son, and I love that.
That is really cool. Yeah, so let's get into this depressing talk, man. We all had high hopes for this team when the season started, but then reality set in, and it hit us all. Like we all just ran straight into a brick wall. And this team is a disaster. The Pistons have won 2 wins on the season. It was an exciting 2 wins at the beginning of the year. They looked great. Now they're on a 19-game losing streak. They're about to play the Indiana Pacers. So that's probably going to be game number 20. The Pistons aren't winning anything. So I honestly hope they just have the longest losing streak in the history of the NBA. I'm going to be that negative. But, man, I don't know what your take is or what you think. When do you think the Pistons actually get another win?
I want to comment on something you said. You said, I hope that they don't win another game. And I'm going to give you a question. Are you hoping that they don't win another game because you want changes? Or are you hoping they don't win another game because you want to see Tom Gores admit that there's a problem and this isn't working?
Great question. And I have thought about that. I want to see 10 more losses so that it does bring changes. And I would love to hear Tom Gores say he made a mistake. We probably won't hear it, but I would like for them to make a change. I'm not calling for anybody to be fired, but I hope after losing 29 games straight, it changes a rotation. It brings other voices in, something, lights a fire under the players' asses. That's the type of change I want to see. Great question.
Okay. I'm kind of in the same boat. I want to see changes. If that means that the Pistons have to break the tanking 76ers record, sure. If that means they have to go another month without another victory, I'm okay with that. I mean, you're already, at 19 straight? Yep. But to answer your question, when will their next win be? So I was thinking about this, and I don't know the schedule at the top of my head. So I'm looking at the schedule on ESPN, and I'm going to put it on the screen for you guys to see. And I'm looking at all of these teams we have to play. Like, we have to play the Pacers Monday, and I'm just looking at the schedule. You got Philly twice, Milwaukee, Atlanta. I want to say Utah. I really do, Lance. I really do. But here's the thing. The Memphis Grizzlies were so damn banged up, and they were only a 1-point underdog, and they lost by 14 points.
Yeah.
Like, I look at this schedule, and I'm thinking maybe you can beat the Rockets, but probably not. Maybe San Antonio in January. Like, this schedule is brutal. If you go on Tankathon, it says that the Pistons have the hardest strength of schedule for the remainder of the season, with their opponent's win percentage at 58%. This is a really strong schedule, but I also think Pistons are getting punished for tanking. Like, admittedly, like, why would you give one of the youngest teams in the NBA one of the hardest schedules? Not like bitching that, the schedule's hard and, the Pistons have to play, juggernauts for like 2 months straight. But I'm saying, like, you won 17 games last year. You won 20 the year before. You're on pace for, I think, 7 this year. It's looking bad, man. Like, I want to say Utah, but like maybe the Spurs, because the Spurs, I believe, are on a 15-game losing streak as well. And that's all the way in January.
Yeah, and that doesn't get talked about enough. But I'm looking at Indiana, and I'm thinking there's no way, just because Indiana, they're going to be angry after losing to the Lakers. They're going to want to take it out on somebody, and the Detroit Pistons are up right now. And then I'm looking at Philadelphia. They're, I believe, third or fourth in the Eastern Conference. They don't want to lose to the Pistons. They have one of the best centers in the league in Joel Embiid. They got Tyrese Maxey coming into his own, and they were playing pretty well. I think they've won 2 straight games, and they're coming off a pretty short break. They haven't played since December 8th against Atlanta, where they won 125-114. And they're also going into this game after playing the Washington Wizards, so they have a cupcake team before another cupcake team, that's perfect. And then you're looking at Milwaukee. They're a dangerous team. How are you going to stop Giannis? Damian Lillard, I mean, dude, he played great the last time they played him. He carried them into that win after Giannis got ejected. And then you're going against the Atlanta Hawks, they're the 10th seed in the Eastern Conference, looking to make a push for an actual playoff seed. So and that's just the first 5 games. And Utah looks like the easiest team on the schedule, but they might be getting Lauri Markkanen back in that game. And how do you stop him in the season he's had? It's just, I'm with you. I don't know. Maybe it is against San Antonio. Maybe it's against Chicago. when they play on December 18th. Maybe it's against Charlotte I think LaMelo Ball still might miss that game, but they got a better cast of players all around. So I don't know when it's coming, man. I think we're in for potentially another month of losing basketball.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like when we were at 2-1, we were all hyped up, and maybe I think we're drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit too much. Looking back, like this is crazy, man. Like I know we did a podcast with Omari and Bryce, and I'm not gonna rip his article because I know that there are limitations with a lot of beat writers here in Detroit, and I don't think fans know that. Of what they can write. And I think even radio hosts in Detroit don't even know that. Like he had wrote a piece about how the Pistons don't want to hit the panic button yet.
Yeah.
And like my question is, if you're not going to hit it when you're on a historic losing streak, when the fuck are you going to hit it? Like when is enough enough? When do you say, you know what? We got to make a trade. We got to do something. Like December 15th is 5 days away as we're recording this podcast on the 10th. Like if there is not a trade at 12:01 on December 15th, I don't even know what I'm gonna say. Like I'm so numb to this losing. Like it's not healthy. I just expect them to lose and blow a lead. Like they'll have a lead at halftime. I'm just expecting them to blow it in the second half. I was like, that's not gonna last. It's just I could pick one part what's wrong with this team, and then I could find another 10 parts what's wrong with this team and this front office and ownership and everything else. It's just a complete mess from top to bottom.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's so frustrating, man. I had texted you that it was disgusting to watch, and there's no other words. I don't know what Monty Williams is doing. You cannot figure it out. Like they were up 18-12 against the Magic. Then I believe he took Cade and Boyan out and he put in the bench unit and they didn't score. And it was like, I don't know if Troy Weaver is trying to just collect another top 5 pick and hope that he strikes gold. I don't know what the thought process is. I don't even believe Boyan's going to get traded. I don't believe anybody's going to be traded from this team. I think they're going to ride it out because there's also this fear where, let's say you do fire Troy Weaver and then you bring in another GM. The GM is going to want to make his mark, and he's just going to start making trades that, you know, they might look good quickly and they might win a few more games just to say, hey, look, I did a better job, but he might not even have a plan. And I don't know. And I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I wouldn't fire Troy because I just want to see this whole thing through. Like, let's see how bad it can get, you know? I mean, and I'm with you. How bad does it have to get before you hit the panic button? It's such a joke, man. And I can't believe I keep watching.
You know what? It's like a horror show, and you want to keep watching to see if they'll get out of the haunted house, and they don't. Yeah. They just get stuck in there, and it reminds you of Nightmare on Elm Street, and they all die. That's literally like the way I could sum up watching a Pistons basketball game right now. Like it looks positive to start, and then you're like, oh crap, yeah, this isn't gonna look good. But like I said, I'll continue to watch the team. I will. I'll continue to do a weekly podcast of this team. My fandom isn't going to shake. I'll still support the team. I'm just frustrated that it's this bad because I don't think it should be this bad.
I know you're busy during the week and you cover some Motor City Cruise games, you cover a lot of high school games, but is there another NBA team that you will watch just to kind of like when when you're a young Lions fan, you're watching the Lions, but they were losing so much back in the day, you had to watch other NFL games just to get a taste of winning. Are you doing that with any other NBA team right now?
You know what? I'm so exhausted from covering Motor City Cruise games, covering high school games. Like, that's the last thing I want to do is watch more basketball. Not to say that I don't love the sport. I do. I'm just so physically and mentally exhausted these days that like I don't even flip on another game. It's just like I can't do it. Like mentally, I'm just exhausted. I can't even like get into a game, and I haven't really bet on Twitter because I just see everyone. I see like these guys doing like these film breakdowns, and I've seen so much negativity towards the Pistons to the point where like I've just kind of been staying off of social media because I just can't do it anymore because everyone has an opinion and everyone's entitled to their opinion. Not saying you're not, but some people just sound like complete jackasses and assholes.
Yeah, it's really easy just to go through a Pistons game and then break down a video of what they're doing wrong because they're doing everything wrong, it seems like, this season. So I'm with you. I've seen some of those videos, and I know they've got a lot of traction and people do enjoy them. I don't know why. I mean, it's kicking at a dead horse, man. It's stupid. It's just idiotic. But we got some news for you guys. Jaylen Duran is out with another ankle injury, and I'm concerned for Jaylen Duran's health because he's had 8 ankle injuries, and he hasn't even played 2 full seasons in the NBA. I don't know what he has to do to heal up those ankles, whether he needs to follow the Steph Curry workout or figure out how to land like Derrick Rose. Just do something. And my biggest concern with it all is I just hope the Pistons just bring him along slowly, man. Let him get to either 100% or as close to 100% before you bring him back, man. He is a cornerstone of this team. He's a building block, and I just don't want to see him become damaged goods because he can't get over the ankle injuries. But how much are you concerned with Jaylen Duran's ankle issues, or his health, I should say?
I think before I did some research on this topic because I didn't know it was this much.
Yeah.
I was looking of how many games he's played, and I believe he said 81 career games or 80 career games, something like that. And he's had a couple ankle injuries this season. So I go on foxsports.com, and I want to show the people every injury Jaylen Duran's had because I think once they see it, it'll be more eye-opening of all the ankle injuries that he's had since he's entered the league. So this is dating all the way back to October 31st, 2022, ankle injury. And you can go all the way up to the 7th of January, ankle injury. The only other injury that wasn't ankle was last March, and it was a cervical injury. Like you said at the top of this topic, he's had 9 injuries in his early NBA career, and 8 of them have been ankle injuries. To me, that is a huge red flag. It's a red flag that, one, he has not worn any type of ankle braces or support or even got his ankles taped up. To me, like if I roll my ankle more than one time, I'm getting a brace, I'm taping it up. Like I don't know if you want to get into, because I got in debates last night. A lot of people's like, oh, high tops don't do anything. He can switch to high tops, he's still gonna roll his ankle. My thing was wear some support.
Yep.
Get some orthotics, tape it up, something, because 8 ankle injuries in your young NBA career, dude, that's a red flag. Like with big men, you worry about their knees and their ankles. And he's had 8 of them in like 81 career games. So like, dude, like we got to get him right. You can tell the difference when he's not out there on the floor. The Pistons miss him desperately. He's had a great season so far. Obviously, like the first 3 games of the season, he looked like baby Dwight Howard out there, and then he hurt his ankle again, and he just really wasn't 100%. You know, they rest him out for like a week and a half. He comes back. Seems like, you know, his ankle's feeling good. But like for me, I'm concerned with this ankle injury, and I want to see him wear some type of protection because, you know, I don't want him just playing at 50% and he keeps hurting it. Like bring him back when he's 100% healthy and get some type of protection around those ankles.
And I went back to his college stats and everything. He played all 29 games in college, no injuries. So I don't know if he was doing something different in college or they had him playing in a different role. I don't know. He started, it seems like, all 29 games as well when he was in college. So I don't want to just blame and point the finger at the training staff, but tape the guy's ankles, man. Even if he doesn't want it, just make him aware of like what he's doing to his body and how it can slow him down. And then even take it a step further and say, look how much money you could potentially be leaving on the table with ankle injuries. I mean, money that cures a lot of things, and just point it out to him. I just hope he gets healthy and he figures out this issue, because it would just be so detrimental to have to watch him on the sidelines while he's in a Pistons uniform. And then who knows, maybe eventually goes to a different organization and they figure out this issue and he just becomes a stud somewhere else. Figure it out, Detroit. Please figure it out for Jaylen Duran.
I was literally watching Rasheed Wallace, because he was on the Gilbert Arenas podcast, and he was talking about when he was younger, he used to wear low tops. He said he sprained his ankle one time, and he said he never wore low tops again. He wore the Air Force Ones, as you know, but like he had orthotics in them. But like, I'm surprised Rasheed hasn't reached out to him, because like, he worked under him in Memphis. Like he coached under Jaylen Duran in Memphis, and he coached him up. Like, he's got so much raw talent and potential to be such a dominant player. And like, these ankle injuries, to me, I think they're just holding him back. And I'm just hoping, it was only a 2-week injury. Thank God, because that video that Johnny Kane posted on Twitter, man, that looked painful. Like, they had to get him off the court. He was in so much pain. Like, I'm thankful that it's just a 2-week injury, and maybe he'll be back at some point towards the end of December. But man, like, he's got to take care of these ankles for sure.
And injuries like this can get in a player's head too, where they start playing more reserved and not going as hard as they can, because out of fear that they're going to get re-hurt. So, or re-injured, I should say. Again, I hope they figure it out though. But you do have a clip for us to play that we're going to talk a little bit more about Jaylen Duran after you play the clip.
For sure. So this was Pat Beverly naming his top 5 NBA players to be the face. So when I posted this, a lot of Pistons fans were like, "Where's Kate at?" And I'm like, if you look at the top 3, like Halliburton, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Maxey, like, he listed 3 great up and coming guards in this league.
Yeah,
but I was happy that, Pat Bev showed some love to Duran. Like, that's not the first time we've seen an NBA player currently give Duran some love. We saw last year Paul George give him some love. Now Pat Bev. He was just saying like how hard that the Pistons play. Like when last time we played Philly, I think we were beating them at halftime, and then we choked in the 4th. But he couldn't say enough great things about Duran. He's just like a baby Dwight Howard, kind of like what you've said probably for the last year. Like, he reminds me so much of Dwight. I think a lot of people in the NBA are taking notice on how physically gifted he is and how strong he is and how dominant he is around the rim.
I wish he would. I don't know if in that episode on that podcast, if they went in deeper, like how Pat Bev defines the face of the NBA, because does he mean in like popularity? Are they going to show, is Jaylen Duran going to be in a bunch of commercials? Is he going to be an all NBA? Is he going to be the top center in the NBA? Because when I look at the faces of the league right now, a lot of fans don't consider guys like Jokic or Joel Embiid, and they play the same position as Jaylen Duran. And those guys, they play out of their mind night in and night out. So I think in order for Jaylen Duran to be one of the top 5 NBA players to become the face of the NBA, he would have to be truly special and do something remarkable. Like, I'm thinking, you might almost have to be as dominant. You might have to be as dominant as Dwight Howard or Shaquille O'Neal to be one of the top 5 guys in the NBA. I'm not saying Jaylen Duran can't do it. It's just, I wish he would have, and maybe he did, or we didn't get in that clip, like provided a little bit more context what he meant by face of the NBA.
Yeah, he said it in the beginning of the clip. He said, I can't put SGA and I can't put Luka. He's saying like young up and coming guys that don't have those all NBA accolades, young up and coming guys that haven't been on third team or second team all NBA. Like, that's why he said like Halliburton. Like, Halliburton just had his first triple double throughout his career. Anthony Edwards, who I think is special, and what Minnesota is doing right now is amazing. Playing with 2 bigs, having wings like McDaniels, and, kind of centering around that talent with Anthony Edwards. I think that's what he was saying. But to your like original question with Jaylen Duran, I think he has the potential to be in those top 10 center conversations. He just has to stay healthy. And his game is still maturing. He just turned 20 years old. We can't use the 19-year-old jokes anymore.
Yeah.
We can't. But there's still a lot to like with Duran. I didn't really hate the top 5. Excuse me. I know a lot of fans got kind of pissed off that, like, why don't you have De'Aaron Fox? Why don't you have Devin Booker? Like, those guys have kind of already made those all-star teams, those all-NBAs. I think that's what Pat Bev was saying. It's like young, up-and-coming guys that could possibly be the face of the league in the future.
When I think about like on-court performances being the face of the league, a guy that you're talked about, you're feared, other NBA players respect you, I could see that for Duran. But in terms of like popularity, because I always throw that in when we're talking about like, you know, who's going to be the next guy that carries the league after LeBron James retires. When I think about that, I just don't know if Jaylen Duran has the game where it's going to resonate with the casual fans. But in terms of being a top 5 player in the NBA versus other NBA players, I could totally see it with Jaylen Duran because he's already being talked about in high regard from guys like Pat Bev and Paul George and other NBA players out there. So, yeah, I could see it from that perspective for sure when it comes to Jaylen Duran. And I'm with you too. I love that he is getting that type of respect because I think if you were going to throw a Detroit Piston in there, the automatic answer would be Cade Cunningham, just because he was the former number 1 overall pick. And after the great offseason he had with Team USA, the practice squad and everything, it would have been easy to throw his name in there. So it's really cool that Pat Bev kind of went deeper in the basket, or deeper in the bag, I should say, because that's the term we like to use now, and threw out Jaylen Duran. And I mean, yeah, I think it's great for Jaylen Duran. He's going to be a great player, man. He's truly special.
Yeah, and there's some people in the comment section saying Jaylen Duran has no offense. Like, you only see what the Pistons are setting up for him. He's probably playing like maybe 5 to 10% of his actual capacity. And we've talked about this before. There's a lot of players on this team that just play a defined role, and you don't actually get to see 100% of what they're capable of. I've told you before, I always remember this quote from Shaquille O'Neal. He said, you know, I maybe played 15% of what I'm actually capable of on the court. I did that because that's what the coaches asked of me. Yeah. And I think that's for any NBA player. There's a lot of talented NBA players in the league, but you don't really get to see their full game. And the guys that are out of the league is because they tried to show their full game and they didn't listen to their coach. Like, you got guys that get overseas that are like averaging like 40 points a game. It's crazy.
Yeah, I listen to the Knuckleheads podcast quite a bit with Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson. And Tyson Chandler was on there one time, and he was talking about that exact thing. He's like, NBA teams wanted me just to be the defensive anchor, but I could shoot the ball. I could bring it up. There was a lot more finesse to my game. And they used to say the same thing about Yao Ming, but the NBA wanted him, not the NBA, but the Houston Rockets wanted him to put on so much weight so he could battle Shaquille O'Neal that they took big parts of his game, like the finesse parts, to be able to shoot the ball, to be able to, even at 7'5", put the ball on the floor a little bit and do some fancier things. And they asked him, hey, we don't need you to do that. We need you to play with your back to the basket and play close to the rim. That's what we need you to do. And you're totally right there. We don't always get to see the full arsenal of what NBA players can do because that's not what they're asked to do. We have one final bit of piece. Well, we actually have 2 pieces of news. I'm going to throw one more thing in there. But the Detroit Pistons have no plans to trade Bojan Bogdanovic, according to Ian Bagley. So my question is, what are the Pistons going to do with him? Because his contract is partially guaranteed going into next year. And I think he's 34, going to be 35, or he's going to be 34 years old. He's an older player in the NBA. His career is coming to an end. He has value right now, and that December 15 line is coming up in the NBA. So do we trade him? But there seems to be no plans for it. What do you think? What do you think the plans are for Bojan in a Detroit Pistons uniform? Like, what do you think they're doing with him?
Excuse me.
Yeah, you're good.
So I don't know what I'm choking on right now. I think their plan for Bojan is just to see what the team is like under him. Man, I don't know what the fuck I choked on. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna trade him. I really don't. I don't really know what their plan is. I think that we saw that they said, we're not going to make any moves. We're not going to panic. We're going to keep Bojan on this team and evaluate this team until they're fully healthy. When, that might not happen. I mean, you're going to wait for Monte Morris to come back. No slight at Monte Morris, excellent basketball player, but he might not come back until January. I have no idea what their plans are for him. And like Ian Bagley's tweet this week, like, bro, like I was laughing so damn hard at this. It says Detroit has no imminent plans to trade Bojan Bogdanovic. The hope is a healthy Bogdanovic can help Detroit win some games, according to those people. Who the hell are those people? I'd like to know. Like, who are those people? The Pistons front office? They think Bojan Bogdanovic is going to save the season? Shit, man. First loss with Bojan Bogdanovic. He says the Pistons need to look in the mirror because they're not good. They don't try. Like, he's calling them out, and he's been gone for I don't know how many games, saying this is shit, and they're not going to trade him. Troy promised him that they were going to be better this season. They're not better. Statistically, they're worse. Like, I don't even know what to say, man. Like, he's your most valuable trade asset, and you're probably going to hold on to him and not do anything. Like, that's my biggest issue with this team. They just hold on to these valuable. I'm not saying like Bojan's going to get you like a lottery pick, but they hold on to a veteran like him that has value in the NBA, that has value in the league. Shooters in the NBA cost a lot, and he's on a pretty budget-friendly deal. And if it doesn't work out, you can cut him. His salary goes from $20 to $3 million because it's partially guaranteed. Like, I don't know what the Pistons are doing. I don't think anyone in the comment section knows what the Pistons are doing. Anyone that wants to try to make an assumption thinking they know what they're doing, they're lying to you. This is the biggest joke of a franchise in all professional sports, man. It's not a competent run organization. It's just not, man. Like, if you lose 10 games, you imagine what the press would be like in Philly?
It'd be disastrous, and they would light a fire under that team in order for them to do something. So his contract is only guaranteed for $2 million, and it becomes fully guaranteed on July 29th in the offseason. So I don't know, maybe the plan is to have him finish out the season and see what they have and see if he's a person you want to keep going forward, and then maybe let his contract become fully guaranteed and then move on from him. But that just seems like, dude, you are playing with fire doing that. And it's such a joke because his value is still high right now. He's still cooking for 20 a game. Get something for him because he's 34 years old. He'll be 35 next year. What are we doing? Like, oh man, it's so frustrating, dude.
Someone just commented something on Facebook, and I never thought I'd see these words for the rest of my life. This comes from Andre One Howard. They need to bring back Stan Van Gundy. I never thought I would see those words. I really wouldn't. Like, we talked about this on Facebook. If you guys follow us on Facebook, Stan Van Gundy won with less talent. He won with Brandon Jennings. He won with the young Contavious Caldwell-Pope. He had Ersan Ilyasova playing big-time minutes on this team. He won with less talent. Van Gundy obviously set the franchise back by having Tom Gores with the gun to his head saying, I want to start, go get Blake Griffin. But, like, man, like, I don't know what this team's doing. I love Bojan, great shooter, but, like, if I was Bojan, I'd ask for a trade. I'd ask to get out of there. Like, I'd ask to go play for a contender. I'm 34. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to play at this level. Maybe he wants to go compete for a championship. Maybe he wants to go have a deep playoff run. Like he said, this is the first year, this past summer, he said this. He's like, this is the most time off I've ever had throughout my career. I've never had this much time off. And he still injured his calf somehow.
Like, he's making $19 million right now. You could use that and maybe use another player and bring back another bad contract that's on a 1-year deal and bring back some draft capital or do something. You know what I'm saying? Dude, for all I care, trade him to a contender and bring back another project. I don't care. Trade him for a young guy that's not getting minutes on a good team. I don't know what you got to do, but I'm with you. I love Bojan. It's been fun watching him cook, but it's just, I don't know how you want to play for this team. I just don't get it. And it's such a disaster. I don't know what Troy Weaver's doing, dude. This is why you bring a Bojan in. You play him for a year. You wait till he gets on the final year of his contract for the $19 million, and then you flip him. That's what you do with these type of veterans. You don't keep them and have them say, "Oh, I want him to be part of the future. I want to see if we can win some games." Dude, how many games we talking? 1 more, 2 more, 5 more on the season? I don't know. Does Bojan even help you do that? Yeah, Kevin Ali would have been better. Charles Lee would have been better. It's disgusting, man. This is the worst I have ever seen the Pistons, man. And it's about to get worse because Marvin Bagley's out now with back spasms. Who knows how long he's going to be out? So we're down to Isaiah Stewart and James Wiseman as our only bigs on this team. And I don't know, like, you would think that maybe Monty can get kind of creative with only having 2 bigs, so you might have to play some guys out of position. I don't know what he's going to do. It's a shit show, bro. It's so bad.
Yeah, like, I feel bad for the fans. I really do. I feel bad for the fans that not only spend their hard-earned money to go to these games or, pay for a cable subscription to watch these games, but actually invest their time in watching this basketball team, because we were sold so much hope this past summer that this was going to be different. They wanted to play in 82 meaningful games. I watched this team when I was down last Saturday. This is a team out there that looks honestly confused.
Yep.
They look like a team that has never practiced together. They look like a team that doesn't really know what's going on. And obviously that's to be expected with youth. But man, it's just such a bad look for an organization that has not 1, but 3 championships.
Yep.
Like, this is one of the better franchises in the NBA. And just this past, 10 years, it's kind of been a laughingstock. It hasn't been a organization that a lot of people take seriously. Like, I see so many Pistons fans say, "Hey, man, national media doesn't talk about the Pistons. We never get any press." You know how much press the Pistons have gotten over the last 2.5 weeks? I go on YouTube. I see ESPN. I see House of Highlights. I see The Score. I see random guys that I've never even seen before on YouTube talk about how bad the Pistons are, because it's fun to talk about. It's fun to dog them. It's fun to talk shit about them because it's getting clicks and views and they're making money on this shit. To me, that's completely embarrassing. Like, if you're a Piston fan, I feel bad for you, but you guys are loyal as hell. You guys are loyal as hell watching this podcast each and every week. Got 156 people in this chat right now. Appreciate each and every one of you. I see all the comments coming in right now, and I absolutely love it, man. But I know this, usually we don't go on rants on podcasts, but like, dude, something has to change. This is just unacceptable.
So there's this podcast that I've been a guest on a few times back in the day, like, as I shouldn't say back in the day, but like as last season. The only time this podcast, shout out to Clutch Talk, that anytime they ever talked about the Detroit Pistons when they had me on, they are actually creating content now talking about the Pistons and basically laughing at us. Their last clip they posted was that Cade is overrated and someone had to say it. And if that's not as low as it's gotten, I don't know what is. I don't know how much lower you can go, where a podcast that is semi-popular that never talked about the Pistons, unless I was on it, is now talking about the Detroit Pistons because we're the laughing stock of the NBA. It's
easy. It's easy.
Super easy. And that used to piss me off when people would do that. And now I don't blame them. Get your content, get your views, get your clicks. You got to do it. Monty Williams, we got a quote from him. I'm not going to read the full quote. We already know where I'm going. Monty Williams has said he needs to shorten up the rotation. He didn't do it against Orlando. He played 11 guys in the first half and 13 guys overall. Jaden Ivey only had 21 minutes in that game, had 7 shots, and that is it. It was a disaster. I don't know what he's thinking. He is the coach that it's like, dude, you want to fail your own way. And that's what he's doing. He doesn't want to change. So what would you do to shorten up the rotation? What would your rotation be if you were in Monty Williams' shoes with the roster as it is right now? We'll talk about the roster right now, and then we'll talk about what your rotation would be if the roster was healthy.
So rotation-wise, we're on a 19-game losing streak. I don't really think anything I say will hold any weight or merit.
Yeah.
But I know this team isn't going to win a lot of games, and I'm fine with that. I know this team isn't going to make the playoffs. I'm fine with that. But this would be my starting 5. I'm starting Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Bojan Bogdanovic, Asar Thompson, Jaylen Duran. I'm having Isaiah Stewart on the bench. I don't need Isaiah Stewart in my starting lineup. I just don't. I think Isaiah Stewart is a fine player. I love the leaps that he's made from the perimeter.
Yeah.
But my biggest issue with Isaiah Stewart, and I've told you this probably the last 2 months, he is not a movement shooter. He's a stand-still three-point shooter. How do you erase that? You run them off the three-point line. What happens when teams know to run him off the three-point line? He tries to make a play, and it turns into a turnover for the Pistons. That is not part of his game. He's just more of a standstill three-point shooter, and I think he would be more effective off the bench than a starter. Whether you want to put a Sar there, you want to put a Livers, whatever. I just think even Bagley, if you want to, I don't know. I think him off the bench would have more value to this team than him starting. But that's just my opinion. That's what I would do with the starting lineup. Bench, I don't know. You could get weird. You could put so many people on the bench. You could start Killian. Who knows? Like, I wouldn't start Killian either, even though Killian has had, statistically, you look at his numbers. He's having a great season, by the way. Like, I got to give him a round of applause. He's actually had a pretty good season, and it's kind of getting swept under the rug because the team is so bad. But that would be my starting 5. But what about you? Is it kind of the same thought process, or do you have something different?
So if we're talking just right now with the injuries that we have, I would go Cade, Jaden Ivey, and Killian. Those would be my 3 guards. I would start Bojan, and I would honestly start James Wiseman because Marvin Bagley and Jaylen Duran are out right now. I'd go with those 5. I wouldn't play James Wiseman big minutes, but I think he needs a guard like Cade and Killian to just throw him some lobs, get him some easy baskets, get him engaged in the game. He's never going to be a good defender, but we're down to 2 big men right now. Those are the 5 I would go with. I would stagger Cade and Bojan. I would always have one of those guys on the floor right now. My bench unit, while the team is hurt, I'd go with Isaiah Stewart. I've been saying it since the offseason. His hustle, his energy, his motor is so much more valuable to this team off the bench. He's a more valuable player playing close to 20 minutes a game versus 30 minutes a game. I mean, I am so tired of him throwing cross-court bounce passes. Dude, it's such a dangerous pass, and he's done it so many times. I don't understand it. I'd go Isaiah Stewart, Alec Burks. I would go Isaiah Livers, and I know people are getting frustrated with him, but dude, it's not his fault. He is being left on an island with no rim protection. What are you doing? You need to have someone back there for when he gets beat. He can only stay in front of his guys so long. And then I go with Asar Thompson, and I'm dropping minutes for Marcus Sasser. I'm dropping minutes for Kevin Knox. Those are the guys. Joe Harris, I'm dropping his minutes because he hasn't found his shot. It stayed in Brooklyn. Dude, fuck, it probably stayed in Cleveland. I don't know. And then when this team is healthy, I'm going Monte in the starting lineup with Cade and Ivy. I'm going Bojan, and then I'm going Duran. And then my bench unit is Isaiah Stewart, Alec Burks. I'm going Killian, Marvin Bagley, and Asar. I'll go 10 deep, and that is it. Those are the only 10 I am playing because they all provide something. You got a lob threat in the starting lineup. You got a lob threat in the bench unit. You got more of a defensive-minded guy in Isaiah Stewart, and I'm dropping minutes for Isaiah Livers when everybody gets healthy because, dude, he's He's had one good game where he had 14 points. The shot's not there. And if you're going to keep putting him on an island by himself, I don't want to see it. I'm tired of fans calling him out. I'm tired of fans pointing the finger at him saying he's not an NBA player. Dude, it's not his fault that he's been put in the worst situations in all 3 years he's been in the NBA. It sucks. And you all know how much I love Isaiah Livers, and I'm going to keep talking about him like that. I don't want to sit here and say he's terrible. It hurts me when you guys do it, but that would be my rotation for the team right now and for when they're healthy. I wouldn't play Marcus Sasser, man, and that sucks too. But like, you're not putting him in a good position. And even when this team is healthy, I could see you bringing Jaden Ivey off the bench and starting Asar Thompson, because he needs to play with guys like Monte, Cade, and Bojan, because they're going to open up floors for him to attack the rim and use that athleticism. That's what I would like to see, but we're not going to get it. That's the only problem. Like, nothing we say matters, but that's just those are the things I would do. I would stop playing 11 guys. Dude, I would probably just play 9 for right now. Just get as many minutes as you can for Cade, Ivy, and Bojan. Just let those guys cook and do their thing. And then, with the rest of the guys, sub them in and out. I don't know. You got to do something. But again, I don't think Monty cares about winning right now because he gets to collect that check regardless.
Yeah, the body language from the players wasn't good.
Yeah.
And I know you just went off for a couple of minutes of like what you would do, and I don't really think that would change.
Oh.
I saw more hustle, more effort, more togetherness from Casey's group
than
I did this group. And I think you're establishing a losing culture. And when you establish that, you just expect going into games to lose a game. And that's something that when you rebuild, that can happen. And this is what happens when you don't use your cap space and try to go get a mid-tier free agent. Like, you could have stocked up on some wings the past 2 free agency class. Not saying go out and spend $30 million on a free agent, but maybe go with the mid-level exceptions. Try to get a guy like around 10 to 12 million that could not only help Cade Cunningham, but help the team get a few more wins. That would be progression, but we haven't done that. One thing we've done with free agents really is try to get these, former lottery picks that haven't worked out. The only lottery pick that has really worked out that we traded for is Marvin Bagley. He's the only one that has really worked out, actually. Yep. And we only had to give a second-round pick because it was like a 5-16 trade. But, I mean, this roster construction, man, it's a mess. I hope they're active at the deadline. I really do. You have to fix this mess, because if you look at this roster, it's just you have too many guards. You're not playing Marcus Sasser, who was a first overall draft pick. He was, I think the 25th overall draft pick in last year's draft. He needs some more playing time. He's the guy that can shoot the basketball. He's the guy that can help Cade Cunningham, but we're just making Cade's life fucking hell. And I'm not trying to, give Cade a pass, but you can't really evaluate the kid unless you surround him with perimeter shooters. Like, I told you at the beginning of the season, I thought Cade Cunningham could average 10 assists. I thought he could if the team went out and addressed the lack of perimeter shooting around him. They didn't, and I think he's around 7 a game right now. He's the type of player where you surround him with perimeter shooters, he's going to be a fine NBA player. But I don't know, man. I'm just ranting at this point.
Go get him a guy that could just create a shot for himself too. Another guy that can put pressure on the defense. You could have had Kelly Oubre Jr. for $2.8 million, and he just got hit by a car and he's balling out again. He's about to make his debut from injury. You said something about Dwayne Casey. Dwayne Casey, it was frustrating to watch sometimes with like his play calls, his substitution patterns. But the thing he provided all of these players and what he provided for a young team was a nurturing environment. I know there's some people on Twitter that have a lot of followers. They have a loud voice, and they're saying, well, under Dwayne Casey, guys had bad habits. The thing, I look at it in a different light, and he allowed guys to play through mistakes. And then he brought them out and he said, hey, look, this is what you're doing wrong. This is what you need to clean up. And guess what? We saw improvements with Jaden Ivey. You can say there are people that are always saying he had a bad rookie year, because even though he was all rookie second team, he had a great rookie year. He got better from game 1 to game 82. And that was because of the environment Dwayne Casey created. My problem with veteran coaches is The moment a young player messes up, they want to take him out. They want to put him on a short leash, and then they want to sit him right on the bench. You're destroying the confidence of a Jaden Ivey, of an Asar Thompson. They seem like they're playing with handcuffs on, dude. It's terrible, man. Break the cuffs and let them play freely. And we're not getting that with Monty Williams. It's just a disaster, man. And dude, let's just get into this, dude. It's hard to point the finger at one single person for the Detroit Pistons problems. It's a collective effort. You got to blame Tom Gores and Arn Tellem for interfering with Troy Weaver's decisions on who he wanted to coach this team. You got to point the finger at Troy Weaver for not using cap space and fielding a competitive roster and building a team around Cade Cunningham, your number 1 overall draft pick. And then you got to blame Monty Williams for his abysmal rotations and his coaching effort, because it just seems like he's collecting a check and he does not care. That's who you point the fingers at. I can't point the fingers at the players. They're the ones that are playing out on the floor. Yeah, dude, they look tired, but you lost 19 straight. I don't blame them. It sucks. You're in the worst environment in the NBA of all of basketball. You're playing in Detroit, and it's absolutely garbage, man. I can't believe we got stuck with this team right now. And that's who you point the finger at. You can't just point it at one person, but who do you blame for the Detroit Pistons struggles?
I think collectively, you could point blame at Tom Gores. You could point blame at Troy Weaver. You could point blame at Monty Williams. You could point blame at Arn Tellem. I think the roster construction, Troy has drafted talent, but he's failed to get veterans that are helping them win. Obviously, he traded for Alec Burks and Nerlens Noel and Kemba Walker, and we just have Alec Burks. I think Alec Burks is a fine vet. He traded for Bojan Bogdanovic, sending Kelly Olynyk and Saban Lee. It's a fine bet. But I think the roster construction, the way it is, you have to blame Troy Weaver for that. He's the general manager. He is supposed to build this team for them to have success. Now, if you want to point blame at Monty Williams for his rotations, you want to point blame for his stubbornness, for not playing certain players like Jaden Ivey, I'll let you guys do that. But I think most of the blame needs to be pointed towards Tom Gores, and I'll explain why. Before we jumped onto this podcast, I told you Tom Gores always goes after the name. He'll offer a lot of money for these guys that don't want to come here. Before the Pistons hired Stan Van Gundy was actually going to go take a job with the Golden State Warriors before Steve Kerr. What does Tom Gores do? And he offers him a dual role of not only being a coach, but being a GM and, president of basketball operations. Throws him the bag. What does he do with Dwayne Casey? Casey says, hey, I want to take a year off. Gores throws him the bag. I applaud for Tom Gores wanting to get a big name. I applaud him for trying to, get these big names. But you can tell with the coaching this year that he took the job for the money. And when you take a job for the money and you're not really interested in that job, then it kind of flows out on what you're trying to do. Not saying Monty Williams is a bad coach. I just think he's not the right coach for this young team. I think Monty Williams is a perfect veteran coach. Yeah. That's why I thought he was going to take the job with either the Philadelphia 76ers or the Milwaukee Bucks, because I felt like that would have been a better position for him as a veteran head coach. I think what this team needed was a young, up-and-coming, younger coach to grow and build with them and connect with them. And I just don't think you're seeing that right now with the coaching staff. I think that's why they're in a 19-game losing streak. That's why their body language towards him isn't the greatest. It's crazy, man. Like, there's no way that this team is 19 wins bad. It's not. It's a collective effort from these players, but like the coaching, I think like in these press conferences, he shows no emotion. He doesn't get mad. It's just like he doesn't care. Like, you watch these press conferences, I think I've seen him blow up maybe once. during this losing streak, like once. I remember when Van Gundy was on a losing streak, his first year here, he blew up, it seemed like, every other press conference because he actually gave a shit. It's just like that's the way I look at it. Like, you're not getting mad that, you're tarnishing your coaching record coming here. You're in a 19-game losing streak. You're really close to setting the franchise record, which I think is 21 for the Detroit Pistons. You have a chance to tie the tanking 76ers that was 26. Dude, that's a bad look that you're not showing any type of emotion. You're not trying to find new ways in lineups. You say that you're going to have a shorter leash in the rotation. You talked about it earlier, and then you played 11, 12 deep against the Magic.
13.
I feel bad for the beat writers too. I really do. Like, they got to cover this shit team and, all these angry fans. And if I would just encourage fans, don't take it out on the beat writers. Take it out on ownership. Take it out on them, because that's who you need to take it out on. Because right now, all my blame would be towards Tom Gores for trying to buy people that don't want to take this job. They just don't want to be here. And you have to establish the culture somehow, but throwing money at people isn't going to solve it.
Yeah, let a culture build organically with a young coach like a Charles Lee or a Kevin Ali. Guys that, I don't think Charles Lee played in the NBA, but, he's a young enough guy where he was playing when the direction of basketball was changing. He could have been a little bit more innovative with his sets, with his lineups. Kevin Ali, he was coaching young guys in the overtime elite league, which I, at the time, thought was kind of a joke. And now I'm just laughing at myself while crying at the same exact time because of how bad this team is. I'm looking at the roster right now, 12 guys with 3 or less years of experience on this team. You don't win in the league with that many young guys, man. It's not a video game. You need more veterans on this team. We have 3 guys on this team, Joe Harris, Bojan Bogdanovic, and Alec Burks, that have 9 or more years in the NBA. How do you teach a young guy to win in the NBA when the veterans are outnumbered by the young guys? You got to have a good mix and a good blend of these guys, but it's just not happening, man. And Troy Weaver, he needs to get over himself, man, and stop. Cool, you had James Wiseman number 1 on your board. Awesome, dude, get over it. Cool. It would have been bad if you drafted him, and it looks bad now. Just let go of your pride or whatever it is and just try to build the right team, man. Trust your instincts versus, it almost feels like with some of these moves, he's trying to prove a point like, look, I'm the smartest person in the room. I knew if I did this would work. But also with Tom Gores and Arn Tellem, dude, let Troy Weaver do his job. You put him in a position and you have to trust him to make the right decisions. And it's hard for me to even evaluate everything because I don't even know who's making all of the decisions. Is it all Troy Weaver? Is it these other guys? I don't know. But, man, and I'm with you. Tom Gores, just stop throwing the bag at big names, man. Trust the guys that you have hired to do their job and try to turn this organization to what we all knew it was, a championship contender. And it feels like it's going to be a few more years before this team is even any better, dude. Because if it's Troy Weaver or another GM, I know some fans want Bob Myers, whoever it is, they got a lot of crap to clean up, man. They got to take out a lot of trash and trim a lot of fat off this team in order for them to make it competitive. I don't know who you bring in that's going to do it. It's just seems like an effort.
I mean, some people in the comment section, Weaver has made some good moves. I will give him that. The thing is, when you're drafting in the top 5 every year, yes, you're going to get young talent. We understand that. The Pistons are probably going to have another top 5 pick this year. I think when you look at teams like the Magic, you look at teams like the Cavs, for example, which I always thought the way the Cavs did it is the right way to do it if you're a smaller market. Have cap flexibility like the Pistons have had, but put yourself in those trades. Put yourself in those trades. Like, they put themselves in the Jared Allen trade because there were multiple teams trying to make a blockbuster trade. They put themselves in positions to get good players. The Pistons really haven't done that yet. And I'll hold my judgment until after this trade deadline. Like, if they don't make any type of moves or, move the needle a little bit. Like, I don't know how, like, I'll give it to Troy to try to fix the mess that he did create, but there are pieces on this team that need to be moved. There are pieces on this team that just don't gel well with, Cade Cunningham. There are pieces on this team on the bench that don't gel well with the bench pieces. I'll give him a little bit more time, but like, man, like you can't just keep taking, veterans on a 1-year deal and tell fans we have cap flexibility, and then you don't use that cap space. You help teams out to sign players that they can't afford, like Cam Johnson this last summer. The Nets couldn't afford to keep him. The Pistons do them a favor by absorbing $19 million of Joe Harris's contract, and he's got 1 year left. I just want to see this team actually go for it. Like, I don't even care, like, if you get the said player. I just want to see, like, so-and-so's interested in the star, and the Pistons are like number 5 on that list. Like, I just want to see that they're actually trying to add talent, actually trying to get better. That's all I'm really asking for as a fan. I don't expect them to get the superstar players, because this isn't really a market right now where stars want to come. Once you start winning, then you get those names coming. Like, I remember when we got Antonio McDyess, I was so excited as a kid in high school, but it was because, the Pistons, they were in the playoffs each and every year. That's why they were getting those names. But I think winning cures all at the end of the day. And I don't know, man. It's hard just to point the finger at one individual, because I think each person is responsible for a lot. I just don't understand how Arntellum has a say in what Troy Weaver does.
Yeah.
Like, this is a SVP in the Pistons front office that actually has a say. A former sports agent has a say what your GM is doing, has a say of, no, you can't go after that guy. No, it's not the time to go after that guy. Like, let the GM do what he wants. Like, let him go get his guy. Let him go try to make a trade. Like, I don't understand that. That's why I've always said there's way too many cooks in the kitchen.
I'm glad you brought up Cleveland, because they had Colin Sexton at one point. His third year in the NBA, he averaged 24 points per game. Looked like he was a rising star. They said, yeah, dude, you're good, but we can go get Donovan Mitchell, and you got to be part of that trade package. That is what winning organizations do. And I know they won their championships because of LeBron James, but they're in a way better position than the Detroit Pistons. You know what I'm saying? Like, you sometimes it may work a little while, and you're like, okay, this is good. We got some young pieces, whatever, but we have a chance to bring in a star. And at some point, Troy Weaver is going to have to do that with this team. You're going to have to trade one of these young pieces, because you can't win with this many top 5 picks. You can't win with that many lottery picks. It just does not work. I mean, Oklahoma City, dude, they got Shea. That wasn't even an actual draft pick. You know what I'm saying? They traded Paul George for him, and it's been great for them. But just to try to build your team through the draft and hope that one of these high lottery picks, you strike gold with them and they become your franchise piece and turn the franchise around, because that kind of seems like that's what Troy Weaver's doing. I know he's made some good moves, but like, that's the feeling I get with what he's doing right now, that he's just waiting and hoping that he strikes gold with one of these guys and they turn it around. But like, dude, that's not what I want from a GM. I want you making moves. I want you being in the trade market. I want you bringing in veterans, because when you bring in those veterans, you sign with friendly deals, you can flip them for other pieces. That's what you do. You got to play the game. You can't. There's an actual script to how to do this stuff. And it seems like he's like, nah, I'm going to crumble it up and I'm going to go try doing something else. Yes, he has found some good pieces, and he had, bringing in, like, what I'm talking about is you brought in Bojan because you gave him Kelly Olynyk. You know what I'm saying? Like, make another trade like that. Try to find someone that wants him and bring another guy in. But I don't know, man. Maybe there are too many cooks in the kitchen. And
there is 100%. Like, I don't like that. Like I said, I have nothing against Arntellum.
Yeah,
I really don't. But you should not have say of what this team does. You should not have say who the Pistons should draft in the second round because your son wants them. because he was head of like Davidas Servidis and I think it was JJ Hardy was right there. That's just like, why are we making moves like that? I know JJ Hardy, he's not going to win you a championship, but it would have been a hell of a bench piece. He kind of plays like Sasser a little bit. Like, it's stuff like that you read from our beat reporters here in the city that report on that, and it just upsets fans. It really does. But like I said, you could point the finger at so many people in this front office. I don't think Troy should get as much blame, but he does deserve a little bit of blame. I still, to this day, I don't understand the Saddiq Bey trade. If it was for money, okay, maybe you can negotiate with the contract. The Hawks didn't extend him either. He's going to go into this season as a free agent. And swear to God, like if he brings Saddiq Bey back, like I'd be happy as a fan, but like that would just be ultimate, like just parody. Trade him because you don't want to pay him, and then you overpay him in free agency. Like,
and the weird thing is, he didn't extend Killian Hayes right away. He's letting him play it out. He has no guaranteed money coming next year. So like, what flipped? You know what I'm saying? I'm with you on the Saddiq Bey thing, even though you do make fun of me for saying I want him to be traded. But anyway, like none of it. It's just so weird, man. But if I was Troy Weaver and I was in his position, don't you think you'd be fighting to make these decisions? Like, dude, you hired me to do something. Stay out of here. Let me do my job. Trust me to do it. And if I don't fulfill what I promised, let me go.
Yeah. Like I said, I just that's the one trade where like last year I was like, he's a rotational piece at the least. He could play off your bench. I told you last year, like they were trying to make him into a second option, into this like 3-level scorer, and take him away from what he actually can do. And you look what the Hawks are doing with him. That's exactly how you can use a player like that. He's one of those guys that if you need him to start in a pinch, he can. One of those guys that can, play 20 minutes off the bench, knock down some threes, play some average defense at best. Like, I just don't understand it. And you trade for a guy that, he was the former second overall pick in 2020, but hasn't played much, has a lot of things he needs to work on as a player. Obviously, he's had a lot of injuries throughout his early NBA career, but James Wiseman is nowhere near ready to contribute, even on a rebuilding Detroit Pistons team. And that tells you all you need to know. Like, they lost that trade big time. And like people saying that Bey wanted out, that's not true. Bey did not want out. All Bey asked for was to get extended. That's all he asked for. And the Pistons said no, but they extended Stewart. I thought they could have waited on extending Stewart until after this season. They didn't have to do it this season. They could have waited to evaluate him. But I don't know, man. Just the roster construction, the cap space, the way we use it, I don't agree with. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens at this deadline. Have to wait and see if they trade their vets, get some assets for them, or they hold on to the vets, and they'll have, I believe they could have potentially up to $70 million in cap space, depending on what they do with their vets and stuff like that. But we'll see, man. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. That was the thing I was talking about with Saddiq Bey. You were just using him out of his role. I'm thinking about it now where you could add like Cade and you're going to probably still start killing him, but then you have Bojan and Saddiq Bey on the wings with Jaylen Duran as the 5. Like, that sounds way better than what we got right now. And then you could still bring us, and if you had Asar Thompson, you could still bring him off the bench. It's just so you could play Saddiq Bey at the 4, go small ball like what most NBA teams are doing, and you'd be fine. He averages 6 rebounds a game in 30 minutes with the Atlanta Hawks right now, and he's shooting 40% from the 3. He was shooting 36% with the Pistons because you were asking him to do too much, and it was so frustrating. And that goes down as Troy Weaver's worst trade. And I mean, dude, you didn't even have to trade Bruce Brown. We're not even talking about that. I don't really want to dive super deep into that. But he could have provided some help along with Cade and Jaden Ivey and all these other guys. Like, Dude, I don't know what you do this offseason, but I hope he cleans it all up, man.
I want to read a comment because I had posted a video earlier from 97 Won the Ticket because Mike Valeni and Jim Costa were talking about the Pistons. And this was a comment from one of our followers, Brandon Engel. And he said, the Pistons went 9-12 post All-Star break during Cade Cunningham's rookie year. And an okay second guy in Jeremy Grant, solid spacing with that roster. He said, now the roster is just abysmal. Like you think about that, they went 9-12 post All-Star break with Cade in Cade's rookie year with Jeremy Grant next to him as a second option. Like if you look back at Cade's rookie year, that roster actually wasn't that bad compared to what we have now.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering if like they are just doing the process Sixers where they get their Joel Embiid or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, or maybe they're waiting for like the next generational talent to be in play for them to get them. I don't know, but like I'm lost for words, dude. Do we have any Q&A questions?
No, but we can try to find some.
Let me ask you this though before we get into that. Do you think the NBA eventually steps in like they did with the Sixers if it gets any worse?
You know what? I don't know. I really don't. I don't know if Adam Silver would do that. I don't know if he would stick his nose into Tom Gore's business like that. Like I told you, if this was in LA or New York, I think you would have beat writers that would write articles negatively about this team. Now, I'm not, like I said, I'm not defending the beat writers, but I don't want to get in trouble saying this. I really don't. I don't feel like getting a phone call.
I get you.
But I'm going to say this. The beat writers aren't writing anything negative because they don't want a phone call either.
Yeah.
They don't want a phone call from somebody. And if, we've had Corey Woods on the show. I'm not going to repeat what he's told me, but there are certain individuals that will call them and tell them to rip stuff down if they don't like it. The Pistons don't like any negative press, and I don't blame them. But you have to let these beat writers do their job.
Sounds like someone needs to create a fake name and just write some stuff.
I can tell you after the podcast is over why they can't and who calls them. I can tell you 100%, but I'm not going to do it on this podcast as I'm not trying to get a call myself. I'm not trying to get screen recorded and get a nasty email like I did several months ago. I'm just not doing it.
It's all good. It's all good. But I don't know. I thought about that at one point where I forget who said it on Twitter that like the NBA could step in. And I think at some point the NBA could step in and make a change because this is one of the original NBA teams. This was a glorious organization at one point that they've drifted so far away from that the NBA, you know what I mean? It would seem like they would want to step in and try to get this organization back to the glory days because they are one of the original teams in the NBA. They've been one of the NBA teams for a very long time. So why not?
Yeah, I do agree with you. I just don't know if the NBA will get involved, but we're going to do some Q&As. We'll do a couple. This comes from Josh Forbes. Does anyone have an idea what the Pistons are going to do with the trade market? So, Josh, to answer your question, I don't know.
Yeah.
If you look at this roster, a lot of the vets on this team are on the last year of their deals. You look at a Joe Harris, you look at a Monte Morris, you look at a Alec Burks, and then you have other guys like Killian Hayes, James Wiseman. You would think that the Pistons would be active during the trade deadline in the trade market. I really don't know what the Pistons are looking for. I don't know if they're looking for a Zach LaVine. I don't know if they're looking at DeMar DeRozan. I don't know if they're just looking for maybe another vet. Maybe they're looking for more center depth. And I say that jokingly, but it seems like all of our centers keep getting hurt. I would not be surprised if the Pistons made a trade for another center with Jaylen Duran's ankle injuries. I really wouldn't. And like I said, who knows? I doubt the Pistons re-sign James Wiseman. I think the only way they re-sign James Wiseman if it's for a vet's minimum. They're not going to be paying him what he's making now. They're not paying him $12 to $13 million.
No,
they're just not. I don't know what the trade market is right now. The only players that I've really heard is like Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan so far. And obviously it's early, but I don't know. I mean, the Pistons turned down multiple seconds for Alec Burks from the Rockets. Like, I don't know what the objective is.
I don't know either, but I'm going to go ahead and say the Pistons will do nothing on the trade market, and I don't expect any trades to come in. And if they do, they're probably going to be minimum. I don't expect there to be some splash. I mean, I hate to say it, but I would not. I guess one thing that wouldn't surprise me, and it might surprise other Pistons fans, because we saw with Sadiq Bey that maybe they trade a young guy, and the trade just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I hope that they're more active. I really do. I know I kind of backtracked earlier because I said, like, who would I blame this mess on? And I started with Tom Gores, but like, I don't know, maybe some people tuned in that they say that I didn't blame anybody. I actually did. There's someone in the chats right now saying that I didn't blame Weaver. I actually did blame Weaver and Tom Gores and Arntel, but hey, man, if you want to go off and, say I didn't, go for it. Ooh, it's a good one from Ryan. If we did go after LaVine, what are the chances we can use Wiseman to get Drummond as well?
Dang, I do not know, but dude, I'm all for it. Why not? Like, give us some more veterans on this team and just give us a chance. Like, because I don't think Zach LaVine and Drummond, they're going to help you win a few more games. But I mean, you're still probably going to be in lottery contention with them on your team. So what does it matter,
So it depends what the Bulls want to do, Ryan. If you look at their roster, they have a bunch of vets like Vucevic, DeMar DeRozan, and Zach LaVine. And I would expect them to be shopping all of them, because I think what's going to happen with them is they are going to be going through a rebuild again. What are the chances of us trying to use Wiseman for Drummond? I don't know. I think LaVine's a possibility if the Bulls just want to shed salary in open cap space. If they just want to do a salary dump, sure. But I keep seeing LaVine linked to the Lakers. They want like Hachimura and Austin Reeves for LaVine. I see DeMar DeRozan linked to the New York Knicks. I guess they want like Quentin Grimes and Evan Fournier, but the Knicks said he's untouchable for whatever reason. I don't know how Quentin Grimes is an untouchable piece, but I don't know. I think the Bulls would have to be really desperate to do a salary dump for Zach LaVine, because I think they can get something for him. I don't think he's unvaluable. It's just teams are kind of hesitant with that contract and to just invest any kind of draft capital when they're going to be trading for Zach LaVine. I know Adrian Wojnarowski talked about it. A lot of teams are hesitant to trade for a guy that's probably your third or even fourth best player on a championship roster.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you can even, to be honest with you, I don't even think you can get anything for James Wiseman. Like, I think his value is so low, even though he's still really young. But I think most NBA teams have seen enough of him where they're like, we don't really want a project like that. Now, if you really want to restart a rebuild, maybe a team would take him. But I just don't see. It's kind of like, I think Killian has more value on the trade market. Killian definitely has more value on the trade market right now than James Wiseman does, even though James Wiseman is a 7'1" athletic center that can run the floor. But it's just, he's so lost defensively. Like, even if, I just don't see any market for him, man.
Yeah. Like I said, I think if you were to trade Wiseman, you'd have to put a valuable piece in there. Like you'd have to put like a Bojan on top of there or an Ivy on top of there for a team to even bite. Just because the salaries would match, because Wiseman's around 12 to 13 million. But like I said, I don't really think if you were to make a call around the league, any team's really giving you anything valuable for James Wiseman right now. I do agree with you on that part. We're going to do another question from Red Baron. He says, does anyone know what type of offers were proposed for Bojan last year? I think we talked about it last week. This is from Michael Scotto from Hoops Hype. I'm reading it right now. The contender offered 2 first-round picks for Bojan Bogdanovic. Now, whether you want to believe that or not, I don't know. But if there were like 2, late first-round picks, like I told you, I thought it was the Mavericks because they've been the only team that have been really sniffing around with Bojan. And before they traded for Kyrie Irving, they had a 2025, and I believe they still have their 2027. So, Red Baron, I think those were the type of trade offers that we had actually heard about from the media, what was offered for Bojan.
Yeah, I think it was the same report that you were just talking about. Because I remember talking about it on the podcast that that there was one contender that wanted him. I'm reading right now that the headline is Pistons will only agree to a trade for Bojan if there's a large offer.
Mm-hmm.
So that also comes on Hoops Hype, man.
Yeah, like I don't know. If you think like, I personally think it was Dallas just because of the Luka Doncic and the European connection with Bojan.
Yeah.
And Bojan was literally cooking the Mavericks last year in that one game that they did. I believe the Mavs beat us or the Pistons won. No, actually, you know what? That was that Killian Hayes game where Killian had a dagger and they beat him. Killian had like 20. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like we talked about it last week. I probably would have traded him if someone offered me 2 first. But I don't know, man. That's something you guys can like debate in the comment section. Like Bojan's good. He's 34. But if someone's offering you 2 first and maybe a player, you got to take that. You really do.
Yeah.
I have a question. Why is Asar's minutes diminished the last few games? Because he broke a bone in his face. That is why he has his role diminished, and I don't know how long it's going to take to heal. He's got the Richard Hamilton mask out there. It looks really cool, but it seems like he's playing like anywhere from like 10 to 15 minutes a night now.
I think a part of it is the injury, but also he's been getting into foul trouble a lot more the last few games. But also he struggles offensively. You know what I'm saying? It seems like he's trying to take a larger role offensively. And I don't think Monty wants him to do that. I think Monty wants him to stick to what made him so good to start the season. And I don't blame Asar. Like, why not go and try different things? You're not playing for anything this year. But I think it's a combination of the injury, the foul trouble, and just doing too much offensively. Because I think in the last game, I think he took the second most threes in the game against the Orlando Magic. I want to say it was the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, I believe you're right. I don't know, man. Like, I think Asar will get back to playing his 20, 25 minutes a night, but I don't know how bad that injury is in his face. Because if you guys don't remember, Josh Hart basically just elbowed him straight in the face, and Asar got called for the foul on that one. So I think he's still trying to play through that injury. That kid's tough as nails, man. I love Asar.
Yeah, Asar took 5 3-pointers against the Orlando Magic. Bojan took 3, and Kate took 6.
Yeah, I think they were 6 for 30 out of that game. It's pretty crazy.
Exactly, 6 for 30. They got to the line 24 times, though.
Yep. This is a question from SJ. It's another question about Bojan Bogdanovic. And he asked, if Troy pulled the trigger to trade Bojan to the Knicks for Evan Fournier. Do you think Fournier would excel here in Detroit? No, I think Fournier would get bought out. I don't think Evan Fournier is interested in playing basketball for a rebuilding team. The only way the Pistons would probably do this is if the Knicks lifted the protections on the Detroit Pistons first round draft pick because they own the rights to it. Now, that's tempting if you think about it, because then the Pistons could make a trade with their first round draft pick, but they can't because of the Isaiah Stewart trade. It's heavily protected. I think it's top 18 protected this year. Next year, it goes to top 13. And then if it doesn't convey, I believe by like 2026 or 2027, it turns into a second round pick. But the Pistons can't even trade their first round pick because of these protections.
Man, I don't know. Evan Fournier might average a career high if he came here to Detroit, even if it was just for half a season. His career high is 19.7, and that was with 26 games with the Orlando Magic before he was traded to the Boston Celtics. I mean, Bojan had a career year here in Detroit. If you want to just want to bump up your stats a little bit, Detroit is the place to come to shoot the ball. Evan Fournier might like it here for a little while, even if it's only like 19 or 24 games.
I don't know. I think the whole like Tibbs thing, like Tibbs won't play him, and he's like, I want to play, but like I was in a space on Twitter with some New York Knicks fans, and I kind of asked about Fournier, and they're like, dude, like he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care. Like he doesn't want to play basketball. You can tell. He's just like he's a DNP, like coach's decision all the time. But I wouldn't hate it if the Knicks wanted to throw in our protections on our draft pick so we could actually do something with it.
Dude, give us Isaiah Hartenstein as well, too, please. Dude, we need a big. He's better than Wiseman.
Why are you so obsessed with him? I don't get it.
Because he's better than the big.
Why are you so obsessed with mediocre players? I want to know.
Dude,
he's mediocre. Like
better than James Wiseman.
That's not set. Oh, so he's averaging 5 points and 5 rebounds a game. Like, dude, you're setting the bar so fucking low, dude. Are you serious right now? Like the bar is like he's better than James Wiseman. That's not hard to beat, bud. It's really not.
You still need better players. He's the guy, and he only plays like 12 minutes a game. Come on, man. Don't be hating on Isaiah Hartenstein.
Bro, like, no, like if you're gonna trade for someone, you gotta trade for someone that's actually a plus, not a negative.
Oof. 17.
He's not good. He's not good, man. He would cook in the G League, but he's like an end of the bench player. Well, no one here, he'd probably be like a 6 man because we have no freaking depth at center right now. But
yeah, he's solid. Don't hate on Isaiah.
Don't want anyone fired, but changes. Changes mean people get fired. No. Okay, so I did say I do want changes. What I was saying, Norman, is I don't think this front office will fire anybody. Because if they were going to fire anybody, it would have happened already. It would have happened after a 10-game losing streak. A serious owner wouldn't have said, hey, you're on a 10-game losing streak. Gotta let you go. We're in 19 games and still nothing has happened. That's what I was saying. I just don't think this front office or ownership is going to change anytime soon. I don't think there are going to be any changes made. I think what they're going to do is use the injury bug as an excuse, give you guys all this hope, and we're probably going to be talking about it this summer, and we're probably going to get hooked in like we do every year, talking about all these free agents that aren't going to come here. We're probably going to trade for veterans that are on a 1-year deal. We're going to fall in love with our top 5 draft pick, and then it's just a vicious cycle all over again.
And I mean, changes can be brought in not necessarily just by firing people, but by making trades, by shortening up your rotation, by playing other guys, putting them in situations where they can succeed. That's how changes can be brought into an organization as well. But the big changes are bringing in a new front office, are bringing in a new coaching staff. Those are the big changes. But we're just talking about like changes we want to see if none of those big changes happen. And that's shortening up the rotation. That's making trades, bringing in free agents, stuff like that.
All right. Yeah. I just wanted to clarify because I know some people are frustrated. I'm frustrated too. I just don't think that anything's going to be like front office wise or organization. Like, I don't really think anything's going to happen this summer. I really don't. This comes from Trutella. Feels like he's on every podcast. He says, if Detroit somehow gets the number 1 pick in this year's draft, do they keep it and draft or trade it for a player like Markkanen? I think they would keep it. I don't know. I feel like you could get Markkanen, and I don't really think you'd have to trade if they won the lottery again. I don't think they're trading a first round pick for Lauri Markkanen. No disrespect towards Lauri Markkanen. I've been actually an advocate for the Pistons to go after him, but I think if they won the lottery, maybe they look at guys like Ron Holland out of the G League, Alex Sarr, who I know he's another big, but he's probably going to be in conversation in the top 5 this year. There's a lot of talented guys in this draft, but I don't think that they would win the lottery and go and trade for Mark. And I think they would just draft another player, Trutella.
Please don't draft Alex Sarr. We have had no luck with French players, dude. Seriously, please.
Watch him be the one. Watch him be that one.
Oh, I say this about every time there's an international guy from France. I'm like, okay, this is the guy. I've said it. No. Just roll the dice with Ron Holland. He's the stretch 4 that you potentially need on this team. He makes the most sense. Don't go for potential. Just go for best fit. And that's Ron Holland right now. I don't even think the Utah Jazz would trade Lauri Markkanen. I think he's probably as cool as they come.
I told you that joke with when Corey was on here with Danny Ainge.
Yeah.
Why he likes him so much. Thanks for the question, Trutella, though. I do appreciate it. We're probably going to get in the draft pretty soon.
But that's why we need to trade for Isaiah Hartenstein. Get him the big white guy that Danny Ainge likes. Dude, that was part of the joke. Come on.
I swear I'm about to freaking hit end stream in a minute.
Oh, come on.
Question. I just did that. What the heck? How the hell did I put 2 questions in there like that? We'll do one more question, then we can kind of just hang it up. Let's see. Trying to find a good one.
Or do you just draft Bronny James and bring in LeBron since he's going
to I've been seeing that a lot, man. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. LeBron said that he was going to come to any team that Bronny James was drafted to.
Dude, I mean, LeBron's still playing at an incredibly high level. It doesn't look like he's slowing down. Why not just do it? Oh, man. Put the ball in his court. See if he's would actually do that. God, that would be so awesome and so hilarious at the same time.
Well, I want to. This isn't a question, but it's kind of like a rhetorical question from Game Nuts. He says, just look at the Motor City Cruise. And why is Jared Rhoden looking like prime Michael Jordan? His numbers are insane. To answer your question, Game Nuts, all of the Pistons 2-way players, like Stanley Amude, Jared Rhoden, they're playing such good basketball right now. And the reason why he put such godly numbers in the G League is a lot of their competition so far, they haven't really played anyone up the par. They've played Amani Bates twice. And the second best player on Amani Bates' team is Sharif Cooper, who was a 2nd-round draft pick from a couple of years ago.
Dude, he was awesome.
The Crews are a veteran G League team. That's why they're having such success right now. And I'm not trying to belittle them by any means, but Jared Rhoden is just cooking these guys. It's just way too easy for him. You watch him and Amude out there, and even Kazalon, dude, they're just toying with these guys. They're just a step ahead of their competition right now.
Do you think, since the Motor City Crews are doing so well, if the Pistons were like, Malcolm, Jared, Stanley, we need you, they're like, no, we're going to stay here. We're winning.
Yeah, I think they would come up because that's an opportunity. I'm surprised Kazalon has not got a call up yet, man. He's a pretty good shooter, honestly, and he's a wing too. I know he's just he's a 2-way guy, but I mean, you need shooting right now really bad. I think he'd be an interesting like shooting guard, small forward type.
Have you seen the numbers? So Cam Whitmore is averaging 26 a game in the G League. Amani Bates, 25.
Yeah.
Mac McClung, 25. Nice. Greg Brown, the third, 3.6 blocks. God, I love the G League, dude. These are just such video game numbers for some of these guys. Jason Preston, former Pistons powered writer, averaging 9.4 assists per game. One dude is averaging 18 rebounds a game. That's just incredible. God,
Who is it?
Like, Oscar, I can't say his last name, dude. I'm not even. Yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah. I won't. But yeah, man, there's a lot of talent in the G League. Like I said, I would like Amude was getting some burn with the Pistons so far this season. Like I told you, I wouldn't be surprised if he took Liver's spot because he can hit down a 3-point shot more.
Yeah,
Liver's can right now. Like
I like Stanley Amude, man. I kept saying he was like the next Wesley Matthews.
Bro, he just cooks. It's absolutely insane how good he is.
Dude, he was shooting 52% from three with the Pistons in 15 games.
Yeah, that's
so awesome.
That's crazy. Yeah, I did see that. We can talk about this and then we can hang it up. So do you know the Detroit Pistons official sponsor right now?
Yeah, Wingstop. They're giving you the 5 wings for free if they get a win. Meant to bring that up in news.
Oh my God.
When I first heard it, I was like, wait, why not 6? Why is it 5? Then I thought, oh, the best 5 alive. Rip, Chauncey, Tayshaun, Rashid, and Ben. Paying homage. That's how bad this franchise is that we're paying homage to the legends, to the best 5 alive by giving away 5 free wings in honor of those guys. If we get a win. Oh my God, dude.
That has to be the funniest promotion I've ever seen. Like, because it's always a win. Like the Red Wings is like Tim Hortons. Like if they score, I don't even know, or like Arby's. Like if they score 3 or more goals, you get free curly fries, and like, or they have like Tim Hortons. If they win, like the Pistons, I think you got wing snob twice this year. If you knew that was the official sponsorship of the Pistons. I saw one funny comment because I did post that on Facebook, and one of the workers was like, "Good, I don't feel like making free wings anyways."
So that's awesome. Do you have to bring in a ticket stub, or what do you just go and say, "Hey, the Pistons win"?
Probably to show them the box score, saying, "Hey, Pistons win. Where are my free 5 wings, bitch?"
Because there's like 4 wing stops in this area now. They're popping everywhere. If they get a win, I'm going to all of them and just show them the box score.
To be honest, like Wingsnob's not even in like my top 5 for wings.
Oh, we don't have any good wings out here, so
like
right up there.
Like Wingsnob, I think is pretty good. Buffalo Wild Wings, I kind of think they're overrated, but I think they're better. Like Wingstop's okay. It's just I don't know.
B-Dubs used to be really good in this area. Then like I don't know what they did, but they're trash now. They used to be one of my favorite spots. We don't really. Oh man, I'm gonna give one shout out to one local restaurant in this area of Kalamazoo, and it's Bilbo's Pizza. They have some of the best wings you can get. They do really have some of the best wings, dude.
Shout out Red Baron Hooters.
We don't have Hooters in Kalamazoo anymore.
Bro, you gotta get out of Kalamazoo.
Dude, I love the city. Come on.
You got to get out, man. You're experiencing some good food. Like Detroit Wings, D-Buck, shout out to you, man. They're great.
So the best wings I've ever had were in Hawaii, and they were on my chicken and waffles.
And it was probably pig. It wasn't wings.
It doesn't matter. It was probably, no, it was. You know how many chickens are running around the island of Hawaii? A lot. You can't even, there's so many chickens out there.
That's not sanitary.
It's, if anything, it's probably spam, which whatever, dude. It was delicious.
Bro, Hawaii life is interesting. I'll just say that. I have a friend that lives there like full time, and tried talking pigeon to me the other day. I damn near like hung up my phone. I was like, what the fuck did you just say?
What's cool about it is we were at breakfast watching a college football game that was in overtime. It was a live game too. It was at 11 a.m. It was incredible.
Yeah, for sure. One of our followers, Truth Teller, says he lives in Hawaii.
So, yeah. There's a lot of chickens out there, and dude, the locals out there, if you try to like grab a chicken, they will get after you after, dude. They love their chickens out there. I watched it firsthand.
That's crazy. I've never been, but like I said, I just get stories from my friend that lives there full time. But it's just funny, like some of the stories I hear. But we're not talking Pistons basketball. We still got 141 people in here, so you guys are the GOAT. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for listening to the Pistons Talk podcast today. Lance is going to tell you where you guys can find the podcast, where you guys can give us a rating, and where you can follow us on social media.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening to the Pistons Talk podcast. You can follow us on Twitter and all social media accounts at Lance Caprosi and at Pistons Talk. You already all know that. It's one of the biggest brands. Do us a favor, but go to Google, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe. After you subscribe, leave a review, drop a rating, make a vote in our polls, and more importantly, tell a Pistons fan.
Peace, guys. See you next week.